Hi, and welcome to Matt Holman Talks Mental Health, the podcast where I have the opportunity to catch up and chat with amazing humans. For this episode, I'm so happy to be joined by Onita Dey. Hi, Onita.
Hello, sunshine. I
I
can't
do.
believe for you it's like close to midnight and you are just looking so vibrant and you're such a contagious person. So I just
Oh.
love that about you. So kisses from grand old Canada here because we are freezing at like minus 18 today.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, we'll try not to delve too deep into the temperature of the weather. We're very good as Brits talking about the weather. But yeah, minus 18 sounds quite extreme. So welcome. I'm so happy to have Anita here. Just a very quick introduction from me. How do I know you? We worked together many moons ago. I can't even think when we would have last seen each other in person, or to talk like this. So it's just so great to catch up. And the thing that I always remember, the endearing thought is always how fun you always were, how happy you seemed, and I loved spending time with you genuinely. So again, I'm loving this, and the first few minutes that we've had just before we recorded this were just lovely to just say hello and see each other and just talk about some things. So welcome, Anita. Introduce yourself, let people know who you are, what you do, and that's the introduction for you.
All right. Yeah. Well, Onita Dey from Canada. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person, addicted to the travel industry, very, very proud mom of a 20-year-old budding opera singer. I brought my coordinating flowers here for my birthday. I was saying I'm 47 for the same time, and wearing a gift token of love from one of my friends. But, the important thing I think for all of us here is that we have the opportunity to talk worldwide about mental health, right? So as we as we were getting very excited and we look to be contagious about talking about this last week, popped into my email this lovely saying, and it was from a lady, Shannon Alder, and it said, "Never give up on someone who is going through mental struggles." And I thought this was so brilliant because it said, if you take the I out of illness and replace it with we, it becomes wellness. And I thought, how did I not hear this before? This is absolutely brilliant, right? So one of the things, Matt, that you know about me is I like vignettes. I like visual stories. And I'm hoping that, I'm talking about my journey here. And when you say, we're always fun and we're always up. And that is, in essence, that is who I am. And I'm an only child. My mom is German. My dad is from India. So you have many cultures. You have, many languages. And, Alexa's father is Armenian, Egyptian mother, Syrian father. So, every religion, every nationality, everyone is going through the same things, right? And listening to some of the earlier podcasts, people were saying, there's this notion in our heads that there is stigma attached to us not giving that face that I don't know, is it our parents, is it culture, is it, I don't know who it is, but ultimately, I think for me, at least anyways, things go sideways when you are not true to your own authentic self, right?
Yep.
And there is no stigma to discussing mental health. If anything else, it is the most welcome thing because any day on this side of the flower bed is always a good day, right? And we have to believe within us that we have to believe in the good, and we have to believe in the power that is within us. So having said all of those things, where is she going with all this, right? But living in this authentic self, I realized about 12, 15 years ago, I started to go a little bit sideways because I was doing everything that was expected of me. I was doing things. I was like, I don't know, maybe I made them up. Maybe people weren't expecting it, but I just thought they were. So I want to share a couple of things with you. Whatever it is that resonates with you, please, when you're listening, let this go through to your subconscious. And if it doesn't affect you, then you just like, whoop, next window, please, and move on, right? Yeah. But strengthening the resolve that is within us is so, so critical. There was a moment I will never forget. I had been told I have cancer. It was breast cancer for many years. I couldn't even say cancer. I used to call it the C-bomb because I couldn't say the word, right? I remember there were days when, Alexa was 9 years old at the time. How do you explain to a 9-year-old that you have cancer, right? And how do you explain that things at home maybe aren't the way that you expect that perfect family to go? So, and worse than finding out that there was cancer was that I knew I had to go through chemo and radiation, but the idea of losing my hair, which is kind of funny because right now on my own volition, I've chopped all my hair with the, COVID manicure department. But at the time, I remember this beautiful nurse and she had long, long hair and she'd been through the same journey telling me, I can tell you pretty much, on the 12th of July, I'm just making these dates up, at 6 o'clock, your hair is going to go. And I'm like, seriously? So I thought, how do I explain this to my daughter? So I said, honey, it's that time of year where, the birdies need linings for their nest and so on and so forth. So we're going to go for a ride in the car and we'll put the top down and then we're just going to, just take it and oh, okay, brilliant idea, right? So I still remember I touched my hair and I was like, oh my Lord. And there it was in my hand, right? And I was like, okay, time to go on the car ride. And, we would drive and I said, okay, honey, let's let it go. And it just came and it was flying. And I thought, whoa. So, that is medical. And I'm so pleased, we live in this neck of the woods that we have the best care possible. But so much of what happens in our life has to do with the healing and the belief system that we have. So whether, it's God, whether it's creator, whether it's whoever it is that is giving you that sense of comfort that there's something bigger than us, that needs to be a part of our journey. On top of this now, so here we've got cancer, we've got reconstruction. I've always decided, listen, Boobalicious, they're going to be reconstructed. They're going to enter the room first. And that's just how it is. But then you have someone who's close to you saying, you know what, this is the only time that I could get you. And I'm thinking, this isn't a competition. This is the only time that you could get me. And I just thought, wow, we have sayings, and my mom and I wrote a book about Proverbs, and you have things like, it's always darkest before the dawn.
Yep.
And that day I understood that, because like, wow, that is something that you would never do. And I think that's part of the struggle with mental health is, you're a good person. You would never do that to someone. So there's that real disconnect about what happens between the brain and the heart.
Yep. And
you struggle to understand other people's actions. One other thing that I learned is that their actions are their actions. Right? And you're like, okay, think about that for a minute, because yes, your actions impact me. They impact everyone around us. I'm an only child. I have a chosen family. My chosen family was there. There are things like people will say to you when you stop talking about he did this and she did that, when you start taking your own power back, which people will pick up in very simple things. They will just say, Onita, this is the first time that you said, I am doing this, I am doing that. When you start talking in the I, that is already on the way to healing, as opposed to he did this and I had to do that, or she did that and I had to do this, right? So these are like all little things that you learn as you go. So, recognizing that there are these places of darkness in our life, but that, it is exactly that. It is somebody else's business. We are the ones who need to take control, and we need to look, beyond what it is. So a couple of love beyond the initial shock stories for you too is, when people close to me found out that there were things happening, I had a dear friend and her then now husband, then fiance, drive for over 3 hours and say, we're coming to stay with you. We're going to cook. I'm going to come and take care of you. She was a massage therapist. You need care. And I remember the gentleman came to me and he said, you don't know me, but your girlfriend has trusted me enough to welcome me into the rest of her life. I would love to take care of your daughter. I would love to be the granddad to play with her, to cook for you so that you can rest. And I thought, wow, like this is our first meeting. Yeah. I had a dear friend who, at the time, we were parents at the same school, come to me and she says, I'm bringing my daughter for a play date. And okay. And I said, well, it's getting dark. Do you need to call your husband? When are you going home? What's your family situation? There's other children. And she said, oh, he'll be bringing breakfast. And I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, oh yeah, everybody's been through these struggles. Right now, my darling, you need to know that you can actually sleep with both eyes closed, that your daughter is going to be with my daughter, that I'm going to actually jump into the same bed with you if you don't mind. And I need you to know that you're not alone. And I thought, wow, like this is, these are people who show you love in so many different ways. I had people who called me every Saturday, say, how you really doing? What can we do for you? What can we do for your daughter? What about your mom? And all of those things, right? So it's that unexpected love beyond the initial shock that I think we need to be open to, right? And we also need to reframe our call for help. And I think it was very important for me to understand that I had to ask for help, which for many of us is really hard to do, right? So, because help is everywhere. Like everyone has their story, and asking is actually one of the most powerful things that we can do. And it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my face when I say that, because if you're in a position where you're struggling and you don't believe it, you know what? Just trust me on this one, people. Just
Yeah.
be vulnerable. Vulnerability in a situation where you need help, you need to just ask for it, and it becomes so, so, so powerful, right? So I also remember things like in between work, we would have calls and be scheduled. And there were dark moments where I used to set my alarm clock for 20 minutes, and I literally would pull the covers over my head. And if I didn't know the little honey was coming home, sometimes I really thought, do I really care if I wake up or not? Like, does it really matter? And it's like, whoa. So a dear friend of mine, I used to go to his place. We've been friends forever and ever. He looked at me one day and he said, who are you? Like, what happened to the girl? You were always the strong one. You were the ones keeping us all together. Like, who are you? And what happened that you behave like this? Because if I didn't see you and know it was you, like if I just, was poking you, I would say, who is this person? And all of a sudden I was like, oh my, you're absolutely right. And he said, let me tell you a couple of things. We all know what happens. We can't control. We'd like to think we can control everything because we're parents, but we can't.
Yeah.
But we're always going to control how we react to things, right? And you also have to always think your actions are impacting. It's not what you tell your daughter, it's what she sees you doing. So he was like, snap out of it. Like, what is happening, girl, right? So that was actually the day that I literally reframed and created in my mind's eye a fresh plan for the future. And it wasn't just about having a plan. It was about having a plan, for myself, for my daughter, for my mother, and it's like the concentric circles when we first meet somebody, hi, nice to meet you. And tell me about yourself. Tell me about your family, about your environment. And, and it grows and it grows from there, your travels. And when that all came together, and I thought, wow, part of that is also forgiving yourself, right? You need to forgive yourself because there's always he and she said and all that other good stuff, but there's also the contribution that we have, and we need to forgive ourselves, create that plan. And then the most important thing is to act on it, right? Because a lot of us are very good at making plans. So you can see my journey with mental health has been about very, very positive things, and finding the strength and seeing the power in the vulnerability. And and if this is not your space, then you just need to take away the lessons from this, but never, never, never give up on the fact that you are so powerful. Like any healing, doctors will tell you, we can give you the medicine, we can perform the surgeries, but what you think in here,
Yep.
that is where the power lives, right? So, having your love and light shine, and being in the moment, and recognizing that there are just very separate things. And God's grace is always with us, and we need to sort of recognize and act and engage. So that's those are the things that I've learned. Like, yes, see the darkness, like look beyond all of that, just reframe our reality, and find that trust, and then act on it, and just engage. And vulnerability is a fabulous thing, and communication is a wonderful thing, right? So that's sort of my little journey, and made it through the eye of the needle. And yes, Boobalicious is back.
Hey.
Not that y'all needed to know that, but
Well, for anybody that's not watching and is listening, go, yeah, nothing happened. It's absolutely fine. Oh, I love it. What a wonderful story, though. And I love the way you brought that to life, and you brought that into that sort of reality of your world and your experience and your perspective. I think there's a couple of things I'm going to pick into that. Of course, I want to sort of delve a bit deeper in there, because you made this big piece in there, which was really about asking for help. It's been a common theme across many of these podcasts and these recordings over the the course of today, and I think it is such a critical point, and I don't want us to sort of push that to a side. That's something that has to be front and center in all of this, isn't it? Having the ability to say, I am struggling and I do need some support, or give me some help. It's very liberating. Do you think it's liberating when you can say the words?
Absolutely. You know what? And I also have learned there's a difference between hearing and just listening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So a lot of us are like, and then we're thinking about this and that and that. And then it's like, you know what? No, stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
when someone is in front of you, please just do them the courtesy and
Mm.
listen. I just remembered a story. I don't know. I think I was maybe 12, 15 myself. I grew up in Germany. I had come to Canada. We, play football around Powder Puff. And the lady who lived on the other side of the elevator in our building, she knocked on the door one day and she goes, "Could I pay you to sit and watch TV with your family?" And I was like, "Oh,
Really?
I'll have to ask my parents." But I remember thinking it was such a strange
Yeah.
request, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, "So, whether it's money, or I used to work at Simpson's, which is like a big department store here." And she goes, "I used to work in I have all this beautiful like costume jewelry. It's all very collectible." And she goes, you could have that." And I remember thinking, I was too young to understand what the question really meant. And,
Mm.
and I thought, wow, that was an individual reaching out. She had family. They, didn't come often enough, or didn't come, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But she always, I can see her face in front of me as though it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And we would spend time with her and visit her, and we were these young kids and we didn't really understand, and we probably annoyed her more than anything else. But at least we had the opportunity
Yeah.
to spend time. And when somebody says something to us nowadays, like I really believe people are just going through so many things. I look at our own family, like the loneliness, the
Yeah.
rules. You can't do this, you can't do that. And if it means picking up the phone, or if it means just being on a Zoom call, and we're probably, whatever our opinion is on that one way or the other, but we need that human contact. And the more technology is functioning, listening is so important, and that people know that there is always someone to listen.
There is.
Drop a dime, call that number, because it's never bad enough that you can't tell someone that we will be there for you. Like, it doesn't matter night or day. And so many of us have made these pacts just to say, listen, I'm on the internet, like, ping me, here's my number, like,
Yeah.
please just talk to me.
It is so important. It's so critical, and right now as well, in particular, it is relevant for this moment more than ever. And this human connection thing, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do this event was really to bring together amazing people to just have chats, and like we're just sat in a cafe in Canada or in England or wherever it is. It doesn't matter where it is. It's the fact that we're having a conversation.
Mhm.
It makes it so important, to show that to other people that it's okay. And
Mhm.
we haven't, and in reality, we haven't spoken to each other for years. And I've had so many conversations with people I haven't spoken with for years. And it's just amazing to just like switch the camera on, and the reactions, like, it's that excitement again, isn't it? And I have to say, this morning I woke up and I felt like a child at Christmas, because I did because I felt excited about something again. And it's something that's been missing in lots of people's lives because of restrictions, because of not being able to do the things, holidays and events. But I did, because I'd created this event that meant I could just stay up all night and be like a child. I've got my snacks and I've got my, and it's great. I love it. I really do. So over the last year, let's talk about the year, because it has been a hard year. How have you found this sort of period of the whole pandemic and everything else going on for you?
You know what? It's one of those. It's like, you and I, we're connected at the heart, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of those situations. And I found through this, as much as the restrictions are in place, I think our humanity has come back to us in a very positive way,
Hmm.
where we're having genuine discussions, where we realize we don't need to go out. Like, one of my part of my disease really was, the more I would go out and buy things,
Wow.
because it gave me that momentary happiness. If I knew that you loved red shirts, you know what, I would find the best one, the biggest one, and I would buy it just for that moment. Didn't matter what it cost, whether I could pay for it. It would
Yeah.
just be, that'll make somebody happy. And it was that momentary happiness, right? And I
Yeah.
think we've learned just to be with each other, to do the board games, to have discussions, and to say, you know what, tell me about what happened, grandma, when you were growing up. Tell me about the family, that we're going back to our roots, right? That we're going back to people that, that we trust, and that we're rethinking, because I don't think anybody wants the old normal back. We all want to build our new normal, right? And
Yeah.
and finding out that there's this dichotomy where it's like, we must have work-life balance. And then there's the emails that say, I'm sorry about the fire drill, but we need this and this, and could you just do this? And it's like, and you get it, because we're always part of somebody else's hierarchy.
Yeah.
But now, many people are saying, so now that we have the chance to rebuild, what do we want the new normal to look like? And I think that's been a critical part of it. And I honestly think the first 5 weeks of us being on furlough, I think I slept 4 of them. It's like I caught up on 12 years of sleep.
Right. Wow. Positive.
Yay me, right?
Yeah, amazing. Wow.
But I mean, we work globally. I get that, right? And no one forces us to do this, right? But that's just of our own volition, because we like to be all things to all people. So you have to kind of, I had the opportunity to assess, to say, like, who am I really? Who do I want to be? How do I, and that whole idea about doing things without any expectation and return is so powerful. When people actually go, and you're doing this, why? Because I have the knowledge and I'd love to help. Yeah. And they're like, no, but what's your, no, I just would like to do this, and I had the opportunity to teach, because, it was part of us being able to bring some really brilliant people into the organization. So that was last year, at the end of the year. And, having people from all over the world, a lot of foreign students, a lot of grad certs that already had degrees wanting to specialize in the tourism side of the house. Yep. And, having these folks have an opportunity to chat. So, I look at my own family, and it's become a matter of getting closer and tighter, and not just the, it's Sunday, so it must be time for family dinner. No, why are we doing this? Right. Because we want to know what, where are our roots, and how are we honoring our roots, and so you can't go out anymore, then, okay, then we find a different way to connect. But I think it's been more about the connections. It's been more about finding out, who am I? Who do I want to be? What is the plan to support, folks? Like, if I look at Alexa, she's at university. This is the 3rd year of, her opera, her voice performance. This is the performance year. Well, where are you performing? Right. So, it is online. They're having those lessons, but when you're used to having people, touch you and maneuver you, and, that's part of, this is what the diaphragm should look like. So they're missing out on that, but their profs are finding different ways to teach them. So I think it's us all being open to just embracing the new, right? To talk about this woe is me. No, we're not having those conversations. We're like, okay, what are we doing now? Like, where are we going from here? Let's do it.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. I could talk to you forever. I really could. I just think there's so many positive things. So you spoke to some friends, and you were talking to some people before this event, right, about sort of what you were doing, and they was giving you some things to say, was it? And have you used those? And I'd hate to think you haven't.
Well, no, yes. You know what? Yeah. The interesting thing was, the conversations were more around lessons learned are great, but that's your specific story. What about the people that are struggling now?
Yeah.
Right. So what would you want them to know? And what should you say? And there were people who said, what? I've never talked about it. I've been struggling for years. I felt ostracized. I felt like I can't even believe I'm telling you this. And I'm not sure that if you were sitting in front of me rather than the end of the phone, would I have this discussion with you? Probably. Would I cry? Probably. Would you care? No, you'd be the one with the, what color Kleenex do you want kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
So the important thing is, one of the messages was, you have to have something greater than yourself, greater than humanity, to believe in. Wow. And that message was over and over again, whether it's your God or it's your angels or, whatever you call creator, but please let people know. And that was mentioned to me on a number of occasions, that you need to be able to trust and believe in something other than the people who you perceive have hurt you, right? And have they really hurt you? Because maybe they're acting in what they think is normal. For you, you find it offensive because you would never do that. Yeah. So have people recognize that those are two different things, right? It's just like if I looked at you and I said, oh my God, he looks like such a hoe. I would never say that about you. You know that.
I hope not. Blimey, I thought we were friends.
It's like, bloody hell, where'd that come from?
Yeah, where did that come from?
But it wouldn't mean that it has nothing to do with you. It would just be, if I did what he did, or if I looked like the way, I would feel this way, right? And I
Yeah,
always
of
remember
course.
my daddy saying, you know, two things. He always said to me, listen, your friends are a reflection of who you would like to be. And anytime you point that finger at me, honey, there's 3, 4, 5 of them pointing back at you, right? So just always remember that. So believe in the good, right?
Yeah.
Act on the things. Know that there is always something bigger that you can believe in, and that there is always someone to talk. And I think, you know, when you're doing this, and it's the conversations, and it's a fundraiser, because you know what, there are organizations, like, they're all over the world. So it doesn't mean because you're here it doesn't happen. It's in your language. It's 24 hours a day. There's no excuse for you not to reach out and just say, help,
Yep.
please, help. That's all it takes. It just takes 2 words. Help me, please.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Wow. And that's a, you know, we're right at the end of this, and I said this would go quick, and it does fly past. And
Has it been already 25 minutes? 24 minutes, 24 hours.
Yeah, it
Wow.
has. And, you know, and it's unfortunately, the tightness of this schedule doesn't permit us to go on too much more. But I just want to say, honestly, I'm just so happy. I really am genuinely very happy that you participated in this, that you said you would, and you volunteered to do this when I asked you. And I'm so happy about that you did, because I've just had such a wonderful time just reconnecting. You've helped energize me for the next 12 that are coming. I'm not sure I'm going to feel like that in about 6 episodes time, but you know what, it's just been lovely. It's been so nice to see you. I really, and you look so well, and you know, your COVID haircut looks great, and it just
my little chipmunk cheeks, that if we were doing this by phone, I probably would have hung up on you 4 or 5 times. But you know what, my darling, too, it's been a pleasure. It's been a privilege. I so appreciate it. I kiss you from here.
Oh, thank you. And I accept it, and I can feel it, and I can feel it all the way over here in the UK. And for anybody that is listening, as Onita did say as well, you know, if you need help and support, please do reach out. There are many organizations out there who are there to support you in your worries, during your concerns, and, you know, just to talk and listen, and just, you know, tell somebody. Please do promise us that you will reach out to people if you are struggling, and just talk. There is no shame in talking about mental health. We have to talk about it, because it's the way we can learn about each other. And I've learned so much from you tonight, Onita, and I really do genuinely appreciate it. So I'm going to say a goodbye to you, and I'll hopefully, well, I'll be watching everything you do, as I always do anyway, from afar. But
thank you. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
À demain. Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, there we go. We're having all the lingo now. Perfect. Goodbye, and see you soon. Bye.